Hey friends, hope everybody's doing well. In today's video, I kind of just want to do a little quick comparison between Fender versus Fractal. On this channel, I teach both units. I've been way more focused on the Fender Toolmaster Pro, and now you're starting to see me put out more content on Fractal. And I've received some questions over on Instagram asking me like, which one do I recommend? So in today's video, I hope by the end of this video, you should have a clear understanding of which unit is for which user. Because I'm gonna really be honest with you, they both do different things really, really well. So let's get into it. So I'm gonna start with the Fender unit, and then we'll talk about Fractal. Who's the Toolmaster Pro for? I would say that if you're a singer-songwriter and you're doing a lot of gigging where it's just you and an acoustic guitar, and you really want something that can handle your vocals and your guitar, no doubt, the Toolmaster Pro. Fractal is a good guitar modeler. This is a good like singer-songwriter model. And I think this is pretty much the only unit on the market that's really suited for that. I'm not sure with neural DSPs, so don't quote me on that. The vocal effects on here are great. You know, it's nothing too crazy, but if you're using like a cheap mixer or maybe you haven't bought a mixer, this is better than a cheap mixer in my opinion. I've experimented with this. I've used it with a guy who had a PA system but no mixer. I ran his vocals through here, did a quick mix, shot it through his PA system, and it worked great. So this can save you gear. And especially if you're gigging just in that sense, this is one piece of gear versus having to bring a couple of pieces. I would say too that if you were intimidated by programming a modeler for guitar tones and you just want something that's really easy and intuitive, this Toolmaster Pro is really your unit. All the other stuff, they're really powerful, and you know, great power comes with great responsibility. However, the Toolmaster Pro is just as capable and it's way easier to use. So if user experience is really important to you and you don't want to get lost diving into an entire ecosystem, this is really, in my opinion, like analog gear in a box. If you're someone who really enjoys Fender cleans and classic guitar tones, I mean, I think that this is the best unit for that, to be perfectly honest. The Fender, this has the best Fender cleans, and I've said this a million times, but you would hope it would since it's a Fender unit. So for me, I had the Axe FX3 before I had the Toolmaster Pro, but I never really got into modeling until I got the Toolmaster Pro. And the reason is because in the analog world, which is where I come from, my 65 Deluxe is like the gold standard. Everything that I use is measured against how it sounds compared to that. And this was the first unit where I was like, okay, this is believable. Now, in my opinion, the Princeton on this unit sounds closer than my 65 Deluxe in the room, but that's a whole other discussion. If you don't have a lot of studio gear, I think the Toolmaster Pro will probably give you more flexibility as well, but it really depends on the type of music you're producing. Before I started investing heavily in studio equipment, this was like my main interface. I used a lot of the effect loops to run different stuff in, and I had everything from my Roland SP404 to my Korg Mini Log ran through my Toolmaster Pro. And the I/O on this, I guess, is kind of the point of this, but the I/O gives you a ton of flexibility on the Toolmaster Pro. It's really unmatched, in my opinion. So quick recap. The Toolmaster Pro is great if you're a singer-songwriter and you just want one piece of gear to take to gigs and having consistent control over your vocal chain and your acoustic guitar chain. It's also great if you are coming into digital from the analog world and you don't really want such a wide learning curve. It's very intuitive, you see things, it basically feels like a digital version of your analog gear. The other thing is if you put a high importance on Fender cleans or classic vintage tones, I think the Toolmaster Pro beats the FM9 in that department, in my opinion. Now let's jump into Fractal and who I recommend the Fractal stuff for. All right, so I'm gonna be honest with you. I think the Fractal stuff sounds better for 90% of the stuff that I do. And I don't mean to say that and saying that the Toolmaster Pro sounds bad. It doesn't. I just think like, for me, I rarely play without reverb. Call it, say what you want. I enjoy good reverb on my tone. And I just think the reverb department on the Toolmaster Pro is what's lacking as of February 2025. The Fractal stuff has the best reverb, period. I would say it rivals the neural DSP plugins. It's kind of in that same ballpark. Also, the Fractal stuff, man, it just has everything. It has everything. And it has a synthesizer. And if you have followed my channel, you know I am a synth head. And I love that. It's so cool to be able to use a synthesizer, although it's not as like fully developed as my Korg Mini Log. It's still cool to have a synthesizer that I can interact with on a guitar because I'm way more fluent with a guitar than I am with a piano. So for me, I really dig that. If you're someone who's playing a lot of metal and you enjoy high gain amps, the Fractal stuff blows the Toolmaster Pro away in that department. I think its cleans are kind of lacking, to be honest. I haven't really found anything that sounds amazing, not without giving it a ton of work. But I also have way more time in the Fender world than I do in the Fractal, but that's starting to change. For the last like month, I've been playing all of my live streams exclusively on the Fractal stuff, so I've started learning it a lot more. But in the high gain department, I mean, look, for those who have seen me play live, you know that my 5153 patch on this sounds exactly like the kill switching gauge from like early 2000s, which is, in my opinion, the quintessential like metalcore sound. So I just remember when I dialed it in on this, I was like, dude, that's it. That's the sound. Like, this isn't like getting close. This is it. So if you enjoy those sounds and you're tuning low, I mean, it just handles it great. The other thing too is about tuning low. I just feel like the Fractal stuff handles lower frequencies better. I know that sounds kind of dumb to say as a producer, but it just does. I'm gonna give you an example. On the 5153, which is the main amp that I use on this when I'm playing metal, I just feel like my 7-string is way more balanced and tamed. On the Toolmaster Pro, I feel like I gotta do all kinds of crazy EQ stuff just to get it to sound believable. And maybe that's because I just don't have as much experience with extended range instruments as I do 6-string and tuned in E standard. I just feel like this is great for modern metal and prog guys who are messing around with different tunings and extended range instruments. But the trade-off is that anytime I'm playing classic rock, this does it. It's just like, the stuff sounds really good until I go back to my Fender amps on the Toolmaster Pro and I'm like, damn, that's how clean sounds. Like, I feel like Fractal spends a lot of time emulating high gain amps or like crunchy amps, like the Friedman and the Dumble, but it really leaves a lot to be desired in the clean world. I just have to work a little bit harder. I'm sure it can be done, and I'm sure there are some guys who are just like Fractal wizards who can dial in something that sounds better than my Toolmaster Pro. I'm just saying from like the general user perspective, if you come from playing nothing but Fender amps and you come into this looking for that experience, I've had to work a lot harder to get that tone than I do on the Toolmaster Pro. But the other thing though is that like as a studio unit, this thing just has everything. It has everything. So as a studio tool, let me tell you where this thing like really shines, is that if you have a lot of outboard gear like I do, this isn't just a guitar modeler. One thing I'm experimenting with right now is using a sequencer to sequence my analog synthesizer, and then I'm running my analog synthesizer through the return jack on here, and now I can have access to all those really cool reverbs, really cool delays, all the type of filtering and whatnot. So it just kind of gives you a lot of flexibility. That's something where like if the Toolmaster Pro could really beef up the reverb department, I feel like it would keep me on Fender a lot longer. But nonetheless, man, it's awesome. Just know, man, the learning curve on this is like a lot steeper than what you get on Fender. Just know that now. But the benefit is that this unit has over 300 amps modeled, whereas the Toolmaster Pro has like 20. More isn't always better, because still on the Fractal stuff, I find myself going to like 3 amps. Like my amps that I use on this unit are the Matchless, because I'm a Chon fanboy, and that does the Chon sound really well. The Dumble, or they call it the Blue de Jay or something like that, which is Robin Ford's Dumble. It's been like replicated 1-to-1, and the 5153 for all my metalcore and metal needs. I hope this helps. For those, for the guy who asked me on Instagram, I hope it helps you, and I hope it also helps anyone else who's potentially considering getting one of these units. I would just say that this is a guitar modeler, mostly, whereas the Fender Toolmaster Pro is kind of wearing a bunch of different hats. Like for example, you cannot run a microphone through this. There's no XLR in, and there's no phantom power on the Axe FX3. So for me, like I usually run a condenser mic because I'm mostly in the studio. I can't do that on any of the Fractal stuff, but I can run it on the Toolmaster Pro, which has phantom power. All right, so that's a lot of talking. Here's kind of like my highlights. The Toolmaster Pro is great for you if you're a singer-songwriter and you need to be able to power your microphone with a consistent vocal chain and having really good guitar tones. Amazing. That's something Fractal can't do. Fractal does not support microphones. It's a guitar modeler first and foremost. The Fractal, on the other hand, is really good for you if you are a modern guitar player and you want really good overdrive and distortion tones while being able to do a lot of cool reverb effects, glitchy effects. Like it has all that baked in and more. The Fender unit is really good if you are someone who enjoys constraints in what you have, because I believe constraints create creativity, versus like if you really love having everything under the sun and you don't want to be limited at all, Fractal has everything. If you enjoy Fender cleans and classic guitar tones, I think the Toolmaster Pro is going to beat the FM9. Maybe I'll do a video where I try to dial it in so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here on the Fractal stuff. I'll do that for a Fractal Friday. I'm sure it can do it. Like, this thing can do anything. Just know, like, if you know what the real deal stuff sounds like, I mean, it's just kind of hard to beat it. I did a video, if you're interested in what I'm talking about, I did a video where I took my 65 Deluxe in the room, I took the exact settings and I matched it against the Toolmaster Pro and the Fractal. Like, I matched everything to it. So I didn't say, hey, I'm gonna dial in the Fractal stuff to sound like my 65 Deluxe. I'm not gonna dial in, I just said 1 to 1 to 1. How do they model it? And for me, the Fractal stuff just sounds like this isn't a Deluxe, you know? I need to do a lot more work to get this to sound like what this sounds like in the room. So if you're interested, go check out that video. There should be some links to it somewhere. But on the other hand, you know, the thing that I love about Fractal is that there's a lot more experimental stuff. So if you enjoy things like synthesizers and pads and sound design, I feel like the Fractal stuff has a lot more to offer producers than the Toolmaster Pro. Jason recently hinted that there's a big update coming. I hope that this is something that they bring in as like some really cool synthesizers and sound design stuff. I hope this video helps. I don't really know what else to say without rambling. I can ramble about this stuff all day long. I think at the end of the day, if you're thinking about getting either of these units, you can't really go wrong. I feel like the Toolmaster Pro, it has a great future ahead of it, but I am in the firm believer you should buy gear based on what it does today, not what you think it'll do. And I would just say for 99% of guitar players, you're not really gonna go wrong. It really just depends on what interface you want and what your needs are. For most of us who are playing like local gigs, the Toolmaster Pro will handle everything you need. If you're doing something a little bit more progressive and a little bit more experimental or heavy, go the Fractal route. And then just expect with the Fractal stuff, and I guess I'm gonna say this, I feel like in the guitar community, we're kind of spoiled. We still have to learn stuff, but it's not nearly as bad as like guys in the electronic music field where like if you get a Digitech or a SP404, you're gonna be learning that ecosystem for months before you're proficient with it. Whereas like I feel in the guitar world, the only thing that's kind of equivalent to that is the Fractal stuff where you're gonna be spending months just menu diving to learn how to do different things. But the upside is that like if you really take the time to learn the Fractal stuff, you can do everything minus vocals. So yeah, maybe that's the biggest differentiator. But anyways, friends, if you have specific questions about stuff, let me know. So for my Fender guys, if you're interested in learning how to get the most out of this unit without having to watch all 60 different videos I've made on it, plus everyone else's, check out the course. It's the one place that's streamlined where I walk you from, you know, absolutely nothing to by the end of the course, you understand how to dial in an amp, what compression is, what order to put your pedals in, and so much more. I've got the course designed where there are some PDFs that go along with the lesson, a video lesson, and then practical exercises, so that way you're getting your hands dirty working on the course. There's also over 50 students, and there are, I think last time I checked, 130 comments where people share their rig ideas and how they built it. So if you're interested in a community-based learning ecosystem, check it out. For my Fractal guys, I'm developing, or I have the idea to develop a course. So let me know if that's something you're interested in. First thing I gotta do is finish the Fender Toolmaster Pro 2.0 course. For my current clients, thank you for your patience. I got a son on the way and our house is just being flipped upside down getting ready for this baby. But with that, I just wanna say thank you so much for all the support. Thank you for all the love. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao!